Great day. Today we're doing rounding, that is standard NBT3. And I'm going to show two ways in which I have introduced rounding, and the key is for them to use the vertical line, but some we're trying to move away from the vertical line and gradually to knowing exactly what to do and what numbers to look at to determine whether you round up or whether you round down. So the first number we have is 64,232, and the 4 that's in the thousands place is the number that we're rounding to because that's the underlined space. So for the vertical line, they know that they're going to keep the underlying digit. Okay, so the 6 is not affected because it comes after the 4. So you have 64. Everything after the underline goes to a 0. So 64,000. So when we do our maximum or our top number, we're just going to do 1,000 more. So what's 1,000 more than 4? You got it, 5. So it is 65,000. So we're looking for the midway or the halfway point between 64,000 and 65,000. And what I told the students to do, look at what they give you as your baseline or your minimum. So we're going to write the numbers that they gave us. 64. The very next 0 will go to a 5. So it's 64,500 will be our midway or halfway point. Now, the middle or the halfway, that determines whether the number that you're given will round up or will round down. So we're working on this here, and they're going to see this a lot in math all the way up through college, and that word is congruent. That means same, equal. We talk about the word equivalent as well. So this 6 and 6, because we're comparing, this 6 and this 6 are congruent. This 4 and that 4, congruent. 2 and 5, which is larger? Well, I know 5 is bigger than 2, so that means 64,232 is going to live somewhere up underneath. So if it's underneath the halfway point, that means it's going to round to the baseline, which is 64,000. Okay? If by chance the number would have fallen above the halfway point, then it would have rounded to the top number. Okay? So that's one way they've been taught rounding. And those that really get it this way, 99% of the time, we're slowly moving here to where they don't have to write the vertical line, but they do have to write the rules. I have to see the work. It's very important. So let me erase and strike out on the 6 and 4. And the 4 was underlined, the thousands place. So we're going to go back, reach back and see what comes first. And that's the 2. This is the boss. And I talk to the kids like this is the older sister, the boss, and they're going to tell you what you need to do. So we're going to find 2 on our chart here. So that number is 2. What does the rule say? The underline stays. So that means you got 6, because that's not affected. The underlying number 4 is going to stay. Everything else will go to a 0. And that's just not so much as a quicker way. Once they understand the vertical line, we're moving this way. So eventually when they get in, as an adult, middle school and high school, they're able to see, oh, I just look next door. If this number is 5 or higher, then the number underlined is going to round up 1. If it's 0 through 4, then the number is going to stay. Okay? So we have just a few that I have, that I feel that really has a handle on finding the vertical line and finding the rounding, that I am moving to this model here. Okay? So we're going to do one more. And our number is 59,732. This time the number in the 10,000s place is underlined. Ones, tens, hundred, thousand, 10,000s. Let me do my vertical line. Okay, remember the underlying digit stays on my baseline, so that 5 is going to stay. Everything after the underline is going to go to a 0. So parents, what I want you to look for on the homework as well, did they put 59? Because they're so used to doing the thousands place from 3rd grade, and even in 4th grade, we started with the thousands, and now we're having to round to the nearest 10,000, 100,000, and sometimes they get stuck and they think you're going to put 59. but the 9 is not underlined. Anything after the underlined digit goes to a 0. So this is 50,000. What's one more than the 5? 6. So up top is 60,000 as my maximum. My midpoint, how do we find that halfway point again? We go back to the baseline. They have a 5, so we keep that. The very next 0 goes to a 5 every time. So the midpoint or halfway point is 55,000. So we're going to box this in because this is what we're comparing to the number given. And we're going to find again, what's that word? Congruent or equivalent. They mean the same or equal. So we have 5 and 5, 9 and 5. Which is larger? Oh, the 9 is larger. So it must go above the halfway point. And then you do round it to the top number, which is 60,000. Okay? And again, if they are, and it's just a few, if it is some that we have taken a step further, and you just look to the number to the right of it, well, this number is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 9, that's the rule. The rule says the underlying number is going to go up 1. So this 5 is going to go to a 6. Everything after the underline goes to a 0. Okay? And so there you are with rounding. Now let's get to what we were doing today with the standard algorithm and the homework, which is using the tape diagram. So the first one on homework, it says a baseball team scored 5,104 points last season and 5,568 points this season. How many total points did the team score in 2 years? So let's first write the points that they had. I'm going to label with last year and T for this year. So let me go back and read that first sentence and see how I can fill in my tape diagram. A basketball team scored 5,104 points last season. So last season I have 5,104. You can put that little P for point. That's totally fine. And 5,568 points this season. So 5,568 points this season. Okay? Now the question says, how many total points did the team score in 2 years? That's what we have to find out. That is our unknown. So we write a variable for our unknown. It's a lowercase letter. And I do A for Angela. Okay? So now we know we have to find the total of these two. And it says, how many total points do they have? We're going to add or subtract. You guessed it. We're going to add because we need to know the total number of points. So they are to do a place value chart. Now make sure the read, draw, write, this is the draw part of the read, draw, write process. They have to have a label. So on tonight's homework, if you don't see his label, it's not going to do them any good if they just simply added these two numbers. They must use the tape diagram and slowly moving them into how to solve word problems and how to know what you're looking for. Okay? So make sure they have it labeled. Make sure they have the variable. What are you looking for? What are you looking for, the unknown or the total? Last year, this year, or what have you. So make sure they have it labeled. Because there was a lot of scholars I saw, oh, Miss Perry, I'm done my homework at the very end of the day. And I said, oh, it is homework for a reason. And a lot of them I said, oh, I don't see a tape diagram. That wouldn't be acceptable. So parents, if you would kind of help me with looking out for that to make sure that they have that, have the tape diagram, have their things labeled and drawn out. Okay, so I place them on my place value chart and I'm going to add them. And when we're adding, I teach them to put the larger number in their head and then add on the smaller number. So with 8 plus 4, I'm going to put 8 in my head and I'm going to add on 4. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So I put my 2 here. I put the plus 1 up here. That reminds me that I need to add that 1. That's the only reason why I put the plus. 1 plus 6. Put 6 in your head. Count on 1. 6, 7. 5 plus 1, same thing. 5 in your hand, add on 1, 5, 6. 5 plus 5, 5 in your hand, count on 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0 over here, plus 1 goes in the 10,000s column. I do ones, tens, hundreds, comma, because I know the comma lives between the hundreds and the thousands place. And I'm going to read my number, 10,672. Okay, so we did the read, we read the problem, we drew it out. The right is to answer the question. So the question says, how many total points did the team score in the 2 years? So I'm going to put it above because I'm running out of space. It'll be too low. And I will put the teams scored 10,672 points. Okay, and you can put in 2 years if you have to. Okay. So this is the read draw process in which the homework is in, and I'm slowly trying to move them into having a strategy rather than just having numbers all over the page, okay? So we read it, we drew it out. We found out this is our unknown, what we had to solve for, and we found that our unknown is 10,672 points, okay? They need to have their place value chart, and then they add it. And then we have, of course, I write the team scored 10,672 points. Okay. So great job. Make sure you continue with your rounding. And I'll see you next time.